and that is with the editor-in-chief of Washingtonian magazine. Because as you know, Congress is back in session next week. What better way to prepare than with a classic best and worst list? Washingtonian magazine polled those who know their members best, their top aides, on everything from who's the best dresser to who's the king or queen of earmarks. You're taking a look at the article there. And editor Garrett Graff joins me now with some of the highlights. Hi, Garrett.
Pleasure to be here.
We're so glad to have you. And Jill, because she covers Congress, is here as well. We see these people day in and day out. Tell us what some of the best and worst were that stood out to you.
Well, this is a poll that we do every 2 years and have for quite a long time. And it we ask, as you said, the aides to tell us sort of what they see behind the scenes, sort of who do they like, who do they not like. And it's always a funny mix for us of rising stars and the hottest and all of that. What was particularly funny, I think, in this iteration this fall was in both the House and the Senate, the person who topped the rising star list was also the one who topped the gym rat list, sort of the person who most works out in the House or the Senate gym. So in the Senate you had John. Looks do play an important role, but maybe it also says something about how dedicated they are, how hard they're willing to work. You had John Thune doing it very, very well in the Senate, and you had Paul Ryan, the congressman from Wisconsin, doing very well on the House. One of the young guns.
One thing that I thought was interesting here in the best and worst of the Senate, you got your surprise standouts. Al Franken came in first, then Scott Brown. But they also topped the list of biggest disappointments. Scott Brown came in first, and Al Franken and John McCain came in second. So what's that about?
Well, you have a lot of partisan votes going, I think, there, where Democrats will write in someone as a rising star and Republicans will write them in as a biggest disappointment. But Franken, sort of sum total in the poll, actually comes out really well. He gets both the funniest, he's a rising star, he's a surprise standout, and he also is one of the least likely to star in a scandal.
Oh, well, that's always good.
Yes.
Franken's had a chance to really shine, though, because there's been a Supreme Court confirmation hearing since he was elected, and he's been able to show, in the hours and hours of hearings with that, he's been able to show that he can ask serious questions and that he can probe when he needs to, and has
not just
impressed
a funny guy. Who else comes off well in this poll, or badly?
Well, one of the things that I think sort of bodes well for Dick Durbin after this November, if Harry Reid ends up out one way or another as the Democrats' leader, is Dick Durbin both wins most eloquent and hardest working, which is a good category there. On the House
and he's
side,
the number 2 in the Senate right now, so he's kind of in the pole position.
And then on the House side, Arizona voters should be very happy. Jeff Flake comes out as both least likely to star in a scandal and one of the lobbyists' biggest enemies. So if that's your congressman, you should be pretty proud of that.
Yeah, and actually, this is a great year to be anti-earmarks, which is what he is, right? So he comes off well there. Talk a little bit about, we were just looking at the ad a couple of minutes ago. John Barrasso, I saw a picture of him up there in the ad. He comes off as brainiest.
The brainiest category for us is always an interesting one, and one where, again, you have a lot of overlap between people who are voted most eloquent, hardest working, and brainiest. Paul Ryan also doing very well in the brainiest category.
Now, who doesn't come off very well?
Well, there are sort of a couple of funny ones. Roland Burris, who took over Obama's seat in the Blagojevich debacle that was that reappointment, he comes off as the most clueless. That was a bipartisan vote.
Oh dear.
He doesn't have a lot of time to fix that.
No, he doesn't. So he might go out with that as his moniker. One of the other sort of funny ones is David Dreyer, congressman from California, seems to do very well in the poll. He is eloquent, he's brainy, he's best dressed, but at the end he's also going to be one of the people most likely to star in a scandal.
Why does he have that reputation, Jill?
I think he has been part of the he was part of the Republican Party that got into so many scandals when they were led by Tom DeLay, and the Abramoff scandal was hitting and all of that. He was always sort of in the wings and connected to the people who were touched by scandal. At the same time, he managed to stay out of most of those things. But he's also, he is a very hard worker. As the top Republican on the Rules Committee, he's there late nights. He's on the floor all the time, having to really toe the Republican line. So it could be that maybe he's learned it being there on those late nights.
Very visible.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so John Boehner, the House Minority Leader, is in the news a lot right now. How do you do?
He does not do very well. He does very well in the lobbyist best friend category, which particularly this year is probably not a category you want to be winning in this election year, and also comes off not unsurprisingly as one of the most partisan. But beyond that, he also comes across as one of the biggest partiers in the House, sort of the people who like to go out and have a good time on the town.
Got it. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for your image when you're in the House?
I think right now, when Republicans are really trying to make a good impression, as they can taste they can taste taking back the House right now. It's not such a good thing, and I think that's why you see the Eric Cantor, Paul Ryan, Kevin McCarthy crowd trying to brand the Republican Party on their own with their whole young gun, anti-Republican establishment, or anti the old Republican establishment. You see them really trying to promote that brand rather than the sort of old
Washington
school
cocktail party type of thing. Gary, you know what I always wonder when I see these lists is, do you get deluged by calls from members of Congress or their offices saying, hey, that's not fair, take us off of that list, how could you do this to us?
We almost actually never hear from congressmen on this list. It's sort of a funny thing. I think the people who don't do well don't want to draw any more attention to it.
Right.
But as you can imagine, this is a list that plays very big in Peoria, as they say. There are a lot of hometown papers that follow this, hometown TV stations, hometown radio stations that pay pretty close attention to how their congressmen and senators do.
You're not getting followed home at night then?
No, I hope not.
Good to know. All right, well, Garrett Graff, we really appreciate you being here with us and sharing the Washingtonians' best and worst of Congress with us today. Thank you so much.